In 2001, Dubai sold the world a dream. A dream so insane that it demanded 50 million cubic meters of sand, billions of dollars, and the ambition to reshape the entire geographical map so it could be seen from space. Palm Jumeirah is not just an artificial island. It is a monument to an era where money was believed to be able to subdue nature. But try this experiment. Imagine you just spent $10 million to own a villa there. You step out onto the balcony, close your eyes, expecting the salty, refreshing scent of the open ocean. Instead, what assaults your nostrils is a pungent, suffocating smell. The smell of something decaying beneath stagnant water. The smell of hydrogen sulfide. That's the moment the illusion shatters. No waves, no privacy, and there's nothing exclusive about waiting half an hour in a Rolls-Royce just to get out of your neighborhood. Palm Jumeirah didn't die the way it was swallowed by the ocean overnight. No, the fall of a luxury icon is far more subtle. It began when the travel experience went into freefall. It spread when the 20-year-old infrastructure demanded enormous maintenance bills, and it peaked when the global super-rich suddenly redefined luxury, leaving behind mansions that were dark and empty like safes. What is really eroding one of the most expensive addresses on the planet? The stench on the balcony or the incessant honking of car horns might be ignored until it starts showing up on the balance sheets. Content from several recent market analysis scenarios has painted a grim picture. Occupancy rates at five-star hotels on the island have been plummeting. Tens of thousands of short-term bookings have vanished, and tourism revenue has suffered a severe blow. While these extreme figures may represent the worst-case scenario, they point to an undeniable truth. Palm Jumeirah's business model is under immense pressure. Do ultra-wealthy travelers abandon a destination because of excessively high room rates? No. In fact, in the luxury industry, the higher the price, the better, as it creates a barrier to exclusivity. But they will leave immediately when the promises in the advertising brochure no longer match reality. The luxury tourism industry thrives on a concept called premium, the surplus value of perfection. You pay extra to avoid distractions. You pay extra for the smoothest possible experience. When you're faced with traffic jams, declining service, and the feeling that your expensive resort is turning into a mass market check-in spot, that premium class is officially broken. The tourism crisis isn't the cause, it's just the first symptom. Customers leave because their dreams have begun to crack, literally. Behind the imported marble slabs and infinity pools, Palm Jumeirah is facing an enemy that cannot be bought off with money: nature. Look at the structural numbers. Most of the villas on the palm fronds were completed between 2006 and 2010. They are now nearly 20 years old. For typical real estate, 20 years is usually the ideal time for renovations. But for properties situated right on the surface of the Persian Gulf, 20 years is a test of life and death. The Persian Gulf is unlike the waters of Florida or California. The salinity here is far higher than the ocean average. The combination of chloride ions in the salt water, 80% humidity, and scorching summer temperatures can burn through concrete surfaces, creating a perfect recipe for destruction. Construction engineers call this phenomenon by an ominous name: concrete cancer. Salt seeps through the pores, attacking the reinforcing steel, causing it to rust and expand in volume many times over, breaking down the protective layer from within. Nature clearly doesn't care about Dubai's VIP list. Any structure can be repaired, as long as there's money. But here's the deadly economic problem. Repairing a house on land is one thing. Maintaining, piling, and waterproofing a villa on a palm grove in the middle of the ocean is something else entirely. It requires divers, barges, marine equipment, and enormous logistics costs. According to various market data sources, service charges for ultra-luxury properties here are always sky-high, potentially costing tens of thousands of dollars annually for a single villa, not including structural overhauls that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this leads us to a crucial question. The repair bill is on the table. But who will pay it? When a significant percentage of those who own these villas have never truly considered this island home. If you drive through some of the world's most expensive neighborhoods at 8 p.m., what do you expect to see? Warm yellow lights, the clinking of wine glasses from dinner parties, or the sound of children playing. At some of the palm groves of Palm Jumeirah, what you get is an eerie silence. Content from script analysis and several independent surveys points to a strange phenomenon. A significant percentage of the villas here show no signs of permanent residence. Utilities are virtually frozen. Dust blankets the gold-plated doorknobs. It's called ghost real estate. You might wonder, what madman would throw tens of millions of dollars into a beachfront villa only to leave it empty? The answer lies in the ownership structure. For a significant portion of the international super-rich, these villas have never truly been home. It's a line of code on an investment portfolio, a ticket to a golden visa residency, or simply a secure concrete vault to anchor cash flow away from geopolitical upheavals in their homeland. When a property is stripped of its living function and reduced to a financial tool, the owner's mindset changes. Their motivation shifts to maximizing short-term profits, such as quick Airbnb rentals or simply leaving it vacant for price appreciation, instead of voluntarily allocating hundreds of thousands of dollars for long-term structural maintenance. But this absence doesn't just create a chilling atmosphere. It creates a chain reaction of economic risks. A house sealed off in the harsh heat and humidity of the Gulf region will quickly become a breeding ground for mold, leaky pipes, and salt corrosion. In a densely populated residential area, decay doesn't stop at the boundaries of a single house. A dilapidated villa owned by an absentee owner can drag down the aesthetic and commercial value of an entire neighborhood. This is the concept of the tragedy of shared property. Everyone wants their villa to appreciate in value, but no one wants to spend money reinforcing a seawall being eroded by the sea. And the greatest danger lurks in the shadows. Liquidity risk. What if tomorrow tax policies change? Or rental yields no longer cover ever-increasing management fees? What if a whole host of these absent homeowners suddenly decide to press the sell and button to withdraw their capital from the island? From a super rare property, it can quickly become a massive asset nobody wants to buy. The artificial scarcity will be exposed. A luxury destination can exist for a time without actual residents, but it absolutely cannot exist without experience. And the experience of those guests who remain here is often stifled from the moment they try to step out of the house. For the ultra-rich, the most expensive thing isn't diamonds or real estate. The most expensive thing is time. High-end guests don't just pay for a beautiful room, they pay for everything to go smoothly. Arrive quickly, leave quickly, complete privacy, and no distractions. But at Palm Jumeirah, your time depends on the shape of the island. When designed in 2001, the palm-shaped structure created a stunning visual effect from an airplane. But on the ground, it's a traffic indictment. The investigative scenario reveals a cruel paradox. Thousands of villas and mega-resorts on the outer perimeter are all funneled together, forced to pass through a single arterial connecting to the Sheikh Zayed Highway. Imagine trying to cram the entire traffic volume of a small city through a single toll booth. In an area where each household owns an average of 1.5 to 2 luxury cars, this single-lane road seems to be struggling under a weight it was never designed to bear. Yes, It's the first monorail system in the Middle East, a dazzling, iconic structure. But in urban practice, it's more of an expensive sightseeing toy than a core transportation solution. Because it doesn't connect seamlessly to Dubai's main metro network. You can't just step out of your house at the end of the Palm Branch, hop on the monorail, and go straight to the DIFC Financial Center without tiring transfers. And if traffic congestion is just an inconvenience, the security and health risks are a ticking time bomb. With such a single-lane structure, even a minor incident on the main road could instantly turn the entire island into an isolated oasis. Are you willing to trade your family's safety and personal freedom just for an address that sounds glamorous, but traps you within that very glamour? But let's put aside the frustration of the paved road for a moment. Because even when those ultra-wealthy guests finally reach their villa balconies, they face an even harsher disappointment, stemming from what should be the island's greatest asset, the water. Do you remember the exhilarating feeling of standing before the white-crested waves on a natural beach? That's the power of ocean currents. It's the process of the sea purifying itself every second. But Palm Jumeirah is a different story. Hydrodynamic studies show that the intricate structure of the palm branches and the massive breakwater system block much of the natural wave and current energy. The result? Water at the ends of the palm branches loses its ability to circulate. According to some technical documents, the time it takes for the water deep inside the palm branches to be completely replaced can be several weeks instead of a few days as on open beaches. Imagine stagnant seawater combined with the scorching heat of over 40 degrees Celsius in the desert summer. That's the perfect incubator for algae to thrive. Hydrogen sulfide gas, produced from the decomposition of organic matter in an anaerobic environment, is the culprit behind the rotten egg smell we mentioned earlier. For resort real estate, sea view is more than just scenery. It's the main reason customers are willing to pay exorbitant prices, what economists call waterfront premium, when the once crystal clear water starts to become murky and developers have to intervene by cutting through breakwaters or using expensive forced pumping systems to force water circulation. That premium layer gradually evaporates. The crisis begins to differentiate. Villas at the edge of the palm grove, where the water is clearer, may still retain their value. But those further inland, where the water stagnates, are facing a cruel decline due to the law of supply and demand. The artificial beach smells. The roads home are jammed. Repair bills hang in the air. When a piece of jewelry becomes too cumbersome to wear, people put it away in a box and look for a new one. The smart money of the super rich is the same. It never disappears. It just quietly moves on to another, younger, and wiser dream. Palm Jumeirah is a masterpiece, but a masterpiece of the 2000s. At that time, the definition of luxury was very direct, even ostentatious. You had to own a huge man-made island, a massive villa, a private beach to assert your status. Luxury was something to be admired and looked up to. But 20 years later, the world has shifted, and elite money is always the most sensitive to the changing times. Today's super rich no longer need an address just to show off. Instead of a huge, complex, and maintenance-risky island, these shark investors are voting with their money to choose new concepts of luxury. Look at the rise of Jumeirah Bay Island, a much smaller billionaire island, but boasting a super convenient direct access bridge, next-generation salt-resistant materials, and enveloped in the absolute privacy of a Bvlgari resort. Or consider the boom in Dubai Hills Estate, where financial giants are willing to forego man-made beaches in exchange for lush green living spaces, embracing 18-hole golf courses and an atmosphere less affected by sea salt. Luxury is witnessing a phenomenon called luxury fatigue. a weariness of glamour. When a once exclusive destination is now flooded with mass tourism, when walls built close together destroy privacy, and when you have to wait 40 minutes in traffic just to go to dinner, that address is no longer a sanctuary. It becomes a noisy train station. For the ultra-rich, the rarest thing isn't the most expensive place. The rarest thing is the place with the least distractions. And this is when the market is most ruthless. As new capital flows into greener, smarter, and less burdensome projects, Palm Jumeirah's liquidity will face an ultimate test. These once dream villas must now compete with newer, more sophisticated rivals. The outdated space must meet stringent new standards. Money can easily be withdrawn. Wealthy tourists can divert their flights to another eco-paradise, but those concrete piles, being eroded by sea salt, cannot buy their own plane tickets. They are nailed there, deteriorating day by day, and waiting for something inevitable. A huge bill that no one wants to take responsibility for. As new capital inflows begin to waver, the island's long-standing problems become more apparent than ever. And this is where we hit Palm Jumeirah's fatal flaw: its governance structure. According to market structural analysis, the burden of maintaining the core structure, from reinforcing the foundations against saltwater intrusion to upgrading the facade, is largely shifted to individual owners through annual service fees. With long-term costs ballooning and responsibilities dispersed, the island falls into a classic economic trap. The tragedy of the commons. Let's look at this tangled web of interests. The developer wants to maintain brand power to continue collecting lucrative management fees. The operating company wants to minimize costs to protect profit margins. Tourists demand a flawless experience and cannot tolerate disruption. What about the absent homeowners, those who own the dark villas? Their sole motivation is to minimize output costs and optimize the property value on paper. So what happens when Palm Jumeirah needs an urgent overhaul? How do you convince hundreds of owners of dozens of different nationalities to collectively pay for a massive, multi-million-dollar water circulation pumping system just to push stagnant water away from the palm branches? How do you force them to contribute to a contingency fund to reinforce an eroded section of the breakwater when most of them don't even live there? The answer is extremely difficult. Without a strong mandatory legal framework and a transparent contribution mechanism, Palm Jumeirah risks being sucked into a death spiral. Rising service fees lead to homeowner protests. The delay in maintenance has led to the deterioration of the landscape and infrastructure. This deterioration has shattered the visitor experience. And as revenue plummets, the island has even less money to repair the bleeding wounds. The fragmentation of governance has paralyzed a massive system. No one wants to bear the collective bill of a grand illusion. And that's just the battle between humans on paper. But while humans are still haggling over who will pay for yesterday's devastation, out there, the ocean is approaching, carrying a bill 1,000 times more devastating. One that no bank or insurance company wants to guarantee. When the ocean knocks, it brings no room for negotiation. For years, one of the most fiercely debated topics surrounding Palm Jumeirah has been a frightening concept: subsidence. Several technical reports and data from the INSAR satellite radar system have indicated that the island is subsiding by a few millimeters per year. Technical experts explain this as the inevitable compaction of millions of cubic meters of artificial sand. Meanwhile, the project developer has repeatedly and vehemently denied claims of serious subsidence, asserting that if it were happening, physical faulting on the surface would already be evident. But let's put aside those millimeter-based debates. Because for the financial markets, coastal risk is an undeniable economic fact. An artificial island always relies on an active defense system, breakwaters, forced drainage pumping stations, and continuous sand reclamation. As climate change brings more extreme storms and rising sea levels, the cost of maintaining these shields will balloon exponentially. And this is where coastal real estate transforms from a dream property into a long-term financial obligation. Real estate isn't just valued by its ocean view. It's valued by its insurability, its mortgageability, and its adaptation costs. You might love the view of the Persian Gulf, but insurance actuaries and bank risk managers don't share that romance. If insurance companies begin raising flood risk premiums, or worse, withdraw from waterfront projects, as has happened in some coastal areas of California or Florida, the cost of owning a villa there will become an suffocating burden. And if banks become more cautious, tightening lending rates for climate risk properties, market liquidity will freeze. New buyers, aware of these risks, will demand a significant climate discount when negotiating prices. As maintenance costs rise, environmental risks increase, while the experience diminishes. The economic model of luxury begins to spiral into an extremely dangerous cycle. From a destination, it becomes a problem. From a dream, it becomes a consumable asset. Here, the disparate pieces have formed a complete structural picture, a picture of a spiral of crisis, where every element is dragging each other downhill. Look at this cruel equation. Aging infrastructure, coupled with sluggish water quality and inconvenient single-lane transportation, inevitably leads to a decline in the visitor experience. When the experience declines, the return rate evaporates. Short-term rental revenue is under immense pressure. The natural reaction of absent homeowners is to cut maintenance costs to stop the bleeding. But saving on maintenance costs in a harsh marine environment is tantamount to signing a death warrant for the property. The asset will degrade at an exponential rate, and when the entire area looks old and dilapidated, the destination's brand is officially weakened. The premium layer of luxury is eroded irreversibly. The greatest danger of this vicious cycle lies in its ability to redefine the very nature of assets. More than a decade ago, a villa in Palm Jumeirah was seen as a store of value, a perfect safe for preserving value. It was a status symbol, a money-making machine from high-end rentals, a gateway to Dubai's elite ecosystem. But if these systemic problems aren't addressed, the market will ruthlessly label it a new one, a cost center. An asset that's difficult to sell, requires constant overhauls, carries management risks, and is burdened by climate change. A hotel can be demolished and rebuilt. A villa can have its entire luxurious interior changed in a matter of months. But when the image of a paradise in the minds of the super-rich is swapped for the concept of expensive but exhausting, how much money and how much time do you need to buy back a damaged brand? But let's pause for a moment. It would be a simplistic conclusion to say that Palm Jumeirah has become a ruin. In the financial world, a big bank never collapses without intervention. And in the real estate world, Palm Jumeirah is a big bank. It's a national symbol. It's the face of Dubai. And Dubai has never been one to surrender to adversity. A deeper analysis of market data reveals that the decline isn't uniform. The crisis is diverging. While 20-year-old villas deep within the palm groves struggle with maintenance costs and declining experiences, the Crescent is witnessing a true renaissance. Nakheel and other real estate giants are pouring billions of dollars into next-generation projects, ultra-modern, incorporating anti-salinity technology, and aiming directly for sustainable wellness standards. The value of some of the rare remaining land plots can still break transaction records, reaching tens of millions of dollars. Furthermore, Nakheel is not a weak private company. They have enormous financial backing. If the individual ownership structure of the villas becomes paralyzed in terms of contributing to common maintenance, the government has ample financial capacity and legal power to restructure the entire game, just as they handled past financial crises. Palm Jumeirah may no longer be the sole destination for the super rich, but it remains a landmark that millions of international tourists must check in at least once in their lifetime. Therefore, Palm Jumeirah's dilemma for the next decade isn't to live or to die. The dilemma is, how will it be reborn, and who will bear the financial brunt of this brutal transition period? A massive system is seeking a renewal. The question is whether it can shed its old skin before its outdated shell completely loses its appeal. For Palm Jumeirah to truly transform itself and compete in the new era, temporary painkillers are insufficient. It needs a major overhaul in terms of governance and structure. And if given the power to rewrite the rules of the game for this island, these steps are unavoidable. First, restructuring the financial contribution mechanism. The current decentralized management system has proven ineffective in the face of environmental risks. Dubai needs a stronger legal framework, establishing a mandatory climate and system maintenance fund. Instead of allowing individual homeowners to evade responsibility, the costs of reinforcing breakwaters, dredging canals, and treating stagnant water must be legalized as an inseparable obligation of ownership. Transparency in the use of this fund will be key to resolving the conflicts of interest that are stifling the island. Second, infrastructure modernization. The trunk structure is immutable, but how people move on it is. Seamlessly connecting the Palm monorail system to the city's core metro network, combined with high-end smart water taxis, will free thousands of cars from the bottleneck every day. Simultaneously, circulating pumping technology and real-time water quality monitoring must be implemented. The waterfront of the ultra-wealthy cannot continue to depend on the whims of ocean currents. And finally, most importantly, a comprehensive rebranding. Palm Jumeirah cannot continue to market itself as the largest artificial island. It must transform into the smartest and most sustainable island. To address the problem of ghost real estate, policies that encourage or even tax vacant properties need to be implemented to force investors to either upgrade their properties or relinquish them to those who genuinely want to create a vibrant community. These solutions require sacrifice, billions of dollars, and most importantly, a break from the short-sighted expansionist mindset of the 2000s. Nature has delivered the bill. Now the question is, will anyone be brave enough to sign it? Palm Jumeirah might still look stunning if you only saw it from an airplane window at 10,000 feet. But throughout this documentary, we haven't seen it from above. We've stood on balconies where the stench lingers. We've sat in the back seat of limousines inching along the single-lane highway. We've stared at huge, unclaimed maintenance bills and dimly lit mansions rusting under the cruel effects of time and sea salt. The story of this island is far greater than itself. It's not just the story of Dubai. It's a mirror reflecting the entire economic model of an era of development at all costs. It proves a harsh truth. You can use money to build a wonder on sand, but you can't use money to buy the laws of nature or stop the ruthless flow of capital. When the experience no longer justifies the exorbitant price, when sustainability is sacrificed for short-term greed, every symbol, however proud, will eventually face market revaluation. And that brings us to a question specifically for you. If you were an investor with $20 million today, would you choose to buy a legacy that's struggling on the waters of the Gulf? Or would you seek safety in projects that respect nature and possess a more sustainable governance foundation? Leave your opinion in the comments below. The market always needs cool heads for critical thinking. If you find this multifaceted analysis valuable, don't forget to like and share to support the production team. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next explorations of economic empires. Antut.